Hi, this is Roland from PMI JCM Realty Group, where we manage properties from an asset management perspective. Today, I'm going to talk about a topic that's near and dear to my heart. I'll tell you a little story. So, I took over a property maybe 2 years ago, and the property had an owner that lived in it, and that owner had some roommates. At some point, the owner needed to move for work, and so they moved across country, I believe to the West Coast somewhere, and they left the tenants in the property. Now, these tenants had cats, and the owner had a cat too. And so they were just cat lovers. Fine, great, no problem, right? Now, because I took over this property, I did my best to get everything in line with how it should be from a property management perspective so that we can protect the owner's assets. However, the owner already had the tenants in the property, so there was no use evicting them as long as they were paying their rent, right? And the owner wanted them there, right? So they had already made the agreement. I just had to make everything more, I wouldn't say operational, but more standardized within the industry, right? So I had them sign a lease agreement, had them pay a security deposit. I did all the things that needed to be done to make sure that I can protect the owner's assets. Fine, no problem there, right? So over the course of managing a property, right? I did an inspection, and when I did the inspection came back. The house had a strong cat odor, right? So I didn't know how strong it was. I was like, okay, people are living there. Okay, I told them about it. They said it wasn't them. They said it was the owner's cat before they left. They left the smell there. They didn't do it. Okay, I didn't argue with it because they were already there. And the reality is they both had pets, right? They both had cats. The owner had pet cats, and the tenant had cats. And so what ended up happening when they were ready to move out, the house just had a crazy, crazy odor. I mean, it was incredibly strong and potent, and nothing I did can get that cat. I mean, I used just about every trick in the book, right? Other than demolishing the house and rebuilding it from scratch, and it was very, very tough to get the cat smell out of the house. Now, I'm not trying to scare you into not renting to tenants with pets. I'm using this as a precursor to let you know that whenever you rent a property to a pet owner, you have to be extra vigilant to make sure that the property does not get damaged. And if the property does get damaged, you have adequate ways of dealing with it, right? And so that's why I'm going to talk to you about the 3 tips to reducing the risk of renting to pet owners. And the reality is, in this day and age, particularly in the state of Florida, right? If you're in the Tampa area, anywhere in Florida, about 70% of people have pets, right? And so whenever an owner wants to shy away from, renting to people with pets, I have to talk to them and say, hey, look, you are alienating a very huge population, right? You're better off trying to mitigate that risk and accept pets rather than not renting to pet owners at all, because it puts you in a position where A, you're going to lose income, B, it's going to be harder for you to get a tenant because a lot of people do have pets. And so you have to make sure that you put yourself in a position to get the most qualified tenants as possible. And even if they have pets, so be it, right? So how do you open up your business to accepting pets, right, without losing money? These tips that I'm going to give you is going to give you these tips that I'm going to talk to you about today. They're going to give you some insights on how to do that and how to mitigate those risks, right? So the first thing that you need to do is pet screening. Now, there are different ways you can do it. Right now, you're not going to go interview Fido, and you're not going to go run a background check on Felix. However, what you can do is you can create a checklist, and you can go online and find checklists that you can use to screen pets, right? Now, one thing you got to keep in mind when you're doing pet screening, you got to keep in mind if they say they have an emotional support animals, there's certain ways you got to deal with that. This it's not the topic of this conversation, so I'm not going to go into that at all right now. But you really need to keep in mind that if they say it's an emotional support animal, how are you going to deal with that? Because you can't charge pet fees for an emotional support animal, right? And you can't deny them because they have an emotional support animal, right? So you got to keep that in mind, in the back of your mind as well. And different pets have different different maintenance levels, right? You know, some pets are high maintenance than others, right? A spaded animal is a lot easier to deal with than a non-spaded animal, right? And you know, an old pug is, you know, a lot easier to deal with than a pit bull, let's say. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you need to have a screening process. Me personally, I outsource that screening process. There's great companies out there that perform the screening on your behalf. It takes you out of it completely. You don't have to worry about the liability, and they can guarantee that any pets that they approve to be put in your property will not cause any damage. If you have any questions about those resources, please reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to talk to you about those resources. But what I will tell you for now is make sure you do your pet screening in one way or the other. The next tip that I want to tell you is to incorporate a pet fee or a pet deposit. Me personally, I charge a yearly pet fee and I charge a pet deposit, right? And the reason why I do that is because there are issues that are going to happen in the house, and if it does, I want to make sure that we're able to compensate for that, right? Get those things fixed up, cleared up, cleaned up, whatever needs to happen. And also, as a property manager, having to deal with any issues that come with the pets, we want to make sure that's covered as well. So we charge a pet rent, right? And when you charge a pet rent and a security deposit, it puts the tenants on notice that, hey, we do care about the property. And if you want your pet deposit back, then, you know, you keep the property looking right. And if you want to keep your pet in the property and you pay a pet deposit, chances are they're going to do their best to keep that pet in line and in check. And so always charge a pet fee and or a pet deposit, because that's definitely going to help with the management of the property and making sure that the tenant keeps their pet in line. The next tip that I'm going to tell you is make sure that you have insurance, right? Make sure that they have insurance, and make sure that they add you and the owner as an additional insured in case anything happens in the house with the pet. The dog bites somebody or the cat scratches somebody, they can't go ahead and sue you and sue you as a property manager or you as the owner. So make sure that those three things occur, right? So first thing is pet screening. Make sure you do your pet screening. The second thing is make sure you have a pet fee or a pet deposit. And the third thing is make sure you have an insurance requirement, and make sure it's at the appropriate level to protect you as a property manager. And if you have an owner, protect that owner. And if you're self-managing the property, make sure that the tenant has the insurance to protect you as the owner. Now, there have been countless headlines in the news story over the last year about the popularity of pet ownership, especially during the quarantine. Americans have been adopting shelter pets and bringing new critters into their families at an increasingly high rate. As a rental property owner, you could be missing out on massive audience if you enforce a strict no pet policy. Contact us to learn more about mitigating your risk with renting to pet owners. We can help you develop a strategy to preserve your bottom line and allow you to maintain or remain available in this ever growing market with potential renters. If you find tips like this helpful, we would love for you to join us for other tips and strategies by signing up for our free webinar, Learn Risk Mitigation and Return on Investment Best Practices, when we explore how to streamline your rental property portfolio to maximize growth. And for ongoing conversations with other like-minded and business-savvy property investors, join our Facebook group And anytime you're ready to have a more personalized discussion about your rental property business, you're welcome to schedule a meeting on my calendar. Let's connect and discuss your growth strategy and try to get you a better return on your investment. This is Roland Jean Charles from PMI JCM Realty Group. I can be reached at rcharles@pmijcmrealty.com. You can also reach me on my cell phone at 813-333-9617. And you can go to my website, www.pmijcmrealty.com. Thank you and have a great day.